Interesting. I never quite noticed that before. I should remedy that. I think I would really like alpaca because of how drapey it is. I do love a good drapey knit. Hi, and welcome to Yarncrafts by Allison. I'm Allison, and I'm so glad you're here. Today I have 2 whips that you've already seen and 2 new cast-ons. I'll quickly talk about what I'm wearing. This is a sweater that I crocheted. I think I finished it at the beginning of 2023. I think it's just called Erin. She does crochet only. And she has like some video tutorials on sweaters. And I've never done, this was technically my first drop shoulder ever. So it was like super simple, just like a recipe to kind of help you do your own thing. So the yarn is Juniper Moon Farms. I don't remember what the yarn was. I don't have any of it left. It was an alpaca wool blend. So it's like super drapey. I'll stand up a little bit. Super drapey, just like a big oversized thing. I don't like love the way it fits me, but it's so warm. And I love, love, love the color. It just kind of has like a funny shape. If I raise my arms, it fits me a little nicer, but it does kind of this thing where it does this. I don't really care. Honestly, I usually wear this with like sweats or leggings and just wear this at home, but I love it. It's warm and cozy, and it's just like a super simple, oversized sweater. And it's my only alpaca that I've ever knit or crocheted with. I don't have anything else alpaca. So I should remedy that. I think I would really like alpaca because of how drapey it is. I do love a good drapey knit. First, I'll talk about my existing projects that you've already seen. We'll start with my World's Simplest Mittens by Tin Can Knits. I'm knitting these on this green Must Be Merino by Yarncrafts. I got it on clearance a long time ago. It's been in my stash for a while. This is the color Pesto, and it's a DK weight yarn, 50% merino wool, 25% acrylic, 25% nylon. So it's got a good amount of wool in there. And as you can see, this is almost finished. I'm working on the thumb. I finished the hand the other night, and I'm still not sure about the fit on these. When I first cast this on, I wanted it to be kind of a larger mitten to go over top of a more skin tight pair of gloves or mittens. Now that I'm kind of working on these and I have enough to really try on, this is really clearly gonna be the skin tight, more fitted pair of mittens that something else will go on top of. I think I just should have sized up, and I didn't really think about it when I was making them. Also, I might unpick the end of these and make them a little bit longer. I'm really content with how long the cuff is, and you know, this lower part of the hand fits me really well. I think I just didn't make the actual finger portion quite long enough. I might block this one. Once the thumb is done, I might just block this one mitten and see. It will grow a little bit, but this yarn doesn't grow too much, and I'm kind of just thinking that I should make them a little longer. So these won't be for layering on top of other things, but I've had it in my mind to do a pair of colorwork mittens for quite a while now. So I might do those next and make those a bigger size to go on top of this lighter weight, more fitted pair. But I do really love this pattern. I've made this pattern several times before. My kids both have mittens made with this pattern. I made some for my sister. And so this is the 4th time I've knit this pattern, and I really enjoy them. Super simple construction, and overall a really, really pleasant knit. And if you don't have the Tin Can Knits app, you should totally download it. They just did a bunch of updates, making their app even more user-friendly than it was before. Their app is great, so you should totally check that out because I use their app quite a bit. So my next whip that you've already seen that I want to talk about is my Stick Season by Clow. Last time I think I just had like the top of the back started. I just had a few inches of that. It wasn't really much of anything. I have a whole yoke now, and it's really, really curling. So it's actually quite a bit there. That's how long I've got. So it's turning up a lot more blue on camera. In person, this is like a really true Kelly green. I feel like it looks a little more teal on the camera, but I'm really enjoying this pattern. I liked the little bit of texture, like working the texture on top. I had a lot of fun with that, and now it's just stocking it in the round. Eventually I'll pick up stitches for my sleeves, and that'll be stocking it in the round too. I'm knitting, hold that thought. My son is having quiet time and he's yelling. One second, I don't remember where I was. Basically the rest of this pattern is stockinette. I love the back shoulder line. She does this like faux ribbing thing on all of the edges all around the armhole. So there will be this pretty ribbing detail, and then it continues down under the arm. So the side of the body has this ribbing, and then it, you know, looks like it's continued around the edge. So that's really pretty. I think it's a really nice touch on an otherwise predominantly stockinette body. On my stockinette, I'm using 3.75 millimeter needles, and then on my on the textured portion on top, I used 4.0 millimeter needles, which is bigger than the suggested. I think the suggested needle size was 3.25 and 3.75 millimeters, but I tend to be a loose knitter, so very often I am sizing up on my needles. I am using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in the color Everglade Heather. This is technically a worsted weight yarn, and this is a DK weight pattern. So I think my stockinette is maybe a little denser than the sample, but I don't mind that. I kind of like a more structured, well, don't get me wrong, I love a drapey, flowy knit, but I like a structured one too. So I don't mind that for this one. Just the construction and everything kind of feels more like a structured sweater to me. So that is my Stick Season sweater by Clow. I have two new cast-ons to share today. The first one is a pair, it's a crochet project. It is going to be a pair of socks for my nephew. Now, I had made these for him a couple years ago for Christmas. He's 8 now. And my sister-in-law texted me, told me that he was in tears. He's been looking for his TT Allison sock for months. He can't find it. Is there any way I can make him new ones? He really, really wanted like the same fabric, same fit, everything. So these are crocheted flat socks that I used to make these all the time when I was only a crocheter. I was kind of dipping my toes into knitting, I think, at this point, but double pointed needles scared me. And I just wasn't ready to delve into knitting socks yet, but I made these. Frankly, they're not awesome socks. They're done in a half double, and it's a really fine, I think it's a sock weight yarn. Okay, it's technically a sport weight, but to me it feels like a sock weight, a fingering weight yarn. I made these for so many people back in the day, but it's really simple construction actually. This was based off of a knit flat pattern that I then adjusted and changed stitch counts, and I think the original pattern was for like a worsted or a DK weight yarn, and I turned it into a sock weight pattern. So somewhere there is a socks knit flat pattern that this is based off of. I apologize if you can hear the banging. My son is playing trucks in his room. I can see him on the monitor. He's banging the truck. He's fine. But my apologies if you can hear it. So basically, this is not quite done. You just knit a rectangle for crochet, some ribbing, and that's crocheted this way. It's just single crochet through the back loop, and then you pick up stitches all along that edge and then knit a rectangle for the leg of the sock. And then this is the top of the foot. You decrease for the top of the toe, increase to do the bottom of the toe. This will be the bottom of the foot, and then I'll do exactly this same shaping for the heel. And then when I'm done, I basically just fold this in half. This becomes my toe. There will be a little heel section right here, and then this is the leg. So it just kind of fits together like that, and it makes these little socks, and there's no crocheting or knitting in the round. And I do have a pair of these. I can maybe put them on and show you here. I've got a pair of them somewhere. Like I said, they're not great, but he apparently loves them. And he has some like sensory issues and trouble with socks sometimes. So when she told me he really, really wanted another pair, I said, absolutely, let me get to work on them. So I've been working on these for several days now. I can't crochet for very long, especially not at this small of a gauge. I can't crochet for very long because I have rheumatoid arthritis and it really bothers my hands. So we're plunking away at these to send them away so that my nephew has a new pair of socks. And I'm using a size, it's interesting. When I talk about knitting needles, I never do like the size numbers. I always just say like the size in millimeters. And with crochet hooks, I always say them by the letter of what size they are. So it might focus. I'm using a D hook. I never ever reference crochet hooks by their size in millimeters, but I do with knitting needles. Interesting. I never quite noticed that before. So it's a 3.25 millimeter hook. So a little teeny baby one. And this yarn is another Yarn Bee discontinued yarn called Cozy Toes. It is 93% acrylic, 7% polyester. And it's like kind of stretchy. It's got like a lot of give to it. And it does make nice socks. I experimented with knitting flat a pair of socks. I only did the one. This was way early in my knitting journey. And knitting journey, I don't like that. I don't like that phrasing. It was really early in like my process of learning to knit and everything. So I did one flat in this yarn. It seems like it would make a very nice, like soft knit sock, but because it stretches, I was really concerned about my gauge changing, and I was still really intimidated by DPNs at that point, so I didn't go anywhere, that project. But so yeah, I had all kinds of colors of these, and I basically crocheted all of them except 2 balls of this colorway, which is called Ice to Meet You, into socks for different people. I don't really make them anymore because knit socks, frankly, are just superior to these. But I'm glad to hear at least one person I've given them to is still enjoying them. So those are my knit flat socks. Basically my own recipe. I have notes for all the different people I've made them for in my phone, on like the exact stitch counts and stuff. My last new cast on that I want to share is what I've been primarily working on. I haven't really done too much on my other sweater. I've done some on the socks, some on the mittens. Most of my time in the last couple of weeks has gone into, not even the last couple of weeks. I think this has been on my needles for like 5 days. This is the Felix cardigan, which I've heard really good things about, but I've never knit myself until now. Amber from A Lovely Yarn podcast. I love her videos. She's so sweet. I've seen her knit a few of these, and she just cast on another one, and it made me go, you know, I've heard her talk about this pattern several times, so I had to try it for myself. I am knitting the second largest size, which I think is size 5. I think there's 6 sizes. So I'm knitting the second largest size, and I've gotten that's probably 4 inches past, yeah, that's about 4 inches past the underarm split. I had a lot of time to knit last weekend, so I did the entire yoke in 3 days, and then this week I've been plugging away at the body. But it's really pretty. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I learned wrap and turns for this sweater. I've never done wrap and turns before. I've only ever done German short rows, so that was fun to learn a different short row construction. I really love the eyelet detail on the raglan. It's all of the increases are these little eyelets, so we've got these like little patterns of eyelets at all 4 raglan lines, and it just makes for a really lovely, soft, cozy sweater with this beautiful little almost lace detail. There's not that much to say about this one. It's all over stockinette. Now that I'm past the raglan increases, I'm just knitting back and forth on the body. So I'm holding 2 yarns together, which I'm finding I'm really, really loving, like marling slightly different colors to get these interesting fabrics. The first one is more Wool of the Andes in the color Mineral Heather. So from far away, it just kind of looks like a charcoal gray, but if you get up close, and I don't know how well it will show up, you can see, oh, that's a good shot. You can see all the like blues and pinks that are kind of woven in with the gray. So it's kind of deceptive. From back here, it just looks like charcoal gray, and then you get close and you see all these different colors in there, which is just so pretty. And then this one is very similar. This is palette, so this is a fingering weight. So I'm holding them together to get an erin weight gauge. And this one is similar. From back here, it just looks like you know, it's a nice navy, but that's all it is. And then you get closer. Will you focus? Aha, you get closer and you can see it's like blues and greens and purples and a little bit of like this really bright pink, and they're all woven together, so it's like this multicolored yarn, but from far away it just looks blue. So I'm putting them together. I have made this really, really interesting fabric. So I've got these 2 like deceptively multicolored yarns, and this one is called, I threw away this ball band this morning. Did I? 1 second. Yep, I threw it away. I can't find it, but I'll put it up here. I didn't take this off of the needle, so ooh, I'm already losing stitches. It's fine. But this is how it fits me. It's not gonna be the best fit check in the world, but this is kind of what we're doing. It's already falling off the needles, but it's not gonna be like an oversized one on me. I'll have some positive ease, but not like a ton. And it's really, really curling. But once the button band is on, it'll fit about like that probably. Yeah, it'll be like that once the button band is on. So I'll have room to move, but it won't be like a big oversized thing like a lot of the knits I've been doing recently. So it's so warm. I put this on last night just to see how it was fitting, and it's literally just like an upper body and like cap sleeves, and it was keeping me really warm. I haven't done a sweater that's quite this thick. I have one that's pretty close, the white, like creamy colored cardigan that I made over the summer. That one's close to this thick, but it wasn't, I think the yarn is similar, but the gauge wasn't as small on that other sweater. So this is like pretty tightly knit for me, at least. I'm sure there's tight knitters out there going, girl, that is not tight knitting. But for me, I really struggle with loose gauge a lot of the time. Basically, I decided what yarn I wanted to use and just knit a big swatch with 2 different needle sizes and picked the fabric I liked best. And then I searched on Ravelry by the gauge that I got. So I had a 14 stitch per 4-inch gauge with my 5.5 millimeter needles, which is what the Felix cardigan calls for, which is why it came up in my Ravelry search. And I've heard Amber talking about this sweater a few times now. I think she said she's knit this like, I don't know, several times, this pattern. So it was kind of already on my radar. And then when it came up in my Ravelry search, I was like, I've heard good things about this one. Let's go ahead and do it. So, but I've never done that before where I swatched before I even had a pattern in mind. I just picked my yarn, made a swatch, and then picked my pattern afterward. I've never done that before, but it was kind of a nice experience. I didn't have that rushed feeling when I was doing my swatch of like, oh, I just want to start my project. I didn't have that because I didn't know what project I was going to be doing yet. So it was kind of nice to I'm just making a square of fabric and just using these yarns that I'm eager to work with without the pressure made up in my own head of like, oh, I gotta start this project. So that was really nice, but I'm loving this project, and I'm guessing by the time I talk to you next, this might be done. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for watching. I love getting to share what I've been working on with you guys, and leave me a comment and let me know what you're working on. I'd love to hear it.